Hello, fellow Daedalians. Chief Quick here from the Mile High Flight, Flight 18 out here in Denver, Colorado. Currently, I also serve as a volunteer veteran service officer for the flight. I have helped hundreds of veterans over the years, the past 20 years, to get their VA benefits. This video is being made today so that we can assist the over 70 flights that we have throughout the country for all of your members to fill out the VA Form 21526EZ form, and it's November 2022 is important to have the correct date on it, not earlier versions of it. So today we're going to go through that form, and I'm going to help you and assist you through it to make it easy for you. They call it the 526 Easy form, but when veterans see the first 8 pages of instructions, they pretty well stop right there. So if you have somebody like me assisting you to fill out the paperwork there, and you submit the paperwork, that's what gets the ball rolling for you to get your VA benefits. So I'm going to give you a few reasons before we start filling out the form as to why you would want to fill out the form and what you get as part of your benefits. First of all, I would like to talk about if you get a rating from the VA and it happens to be a 0 rating, it's still a rating. You don't get any money for it, but it is a rating. It can only go up from there. So some veterans are a little bit confused when they get that, and they say, oh, I didn't get anything for it. Oh, yes, you did. A 0 rating means it's service connected, and at that point, you start getting benefits because of it. If you get an example as a 10% rating, at 10% for tinnitus, tinnitus is the most given VA benefit. Over 90% of veterans can get tinnitus because we're all around loud noise, or if you were serving in combat, obviously explosions from artillery, mortars, anything like that. That pays out at $180 a month just for tinnitus as an example. In addition to that, we go up to the next level. So 10% gets you in the system. It gets you on the medical side enrolled without having to prove your income. And also if you happen to be a combat veteran, then you would be automatically enrolled into the VA medical side of the house. That being said, I want to talk a little bit about the 3 legs of the VA. One being comp and pen. That's what I'm helping you out with today. The other one would be education, when you apply for your educational benefits. And the third being the medical side of the house. Younger veterans obviously are going to use the education side. Even older veterans, even veterans like myself, can still use the educational benefits. Medical, that's for all of us. Whether you're young or older, those medical benefits are huge nowadays. And you get that once you apply for your benefits. The form I'm going to help you fill out today, whether it's 0%, 10% or higher, that gets you in the door on the medical side. Okay, the next higher level where it makes a difference is once you get to 30%, the amount of money for a single person is $592 a month. Since you're at 30%, that's when the spousal increase kicks in. So at 30%, if you're married, you get $617 a month. And of course, there's dependents. And so for adding just one dependent with your spouse, it's going up to $667 a month. So you can see how that increases. And that only starts at 30%. Then the next higher rating is a 50% rating. And at that one, the rate goes up to $1,133 if you're still single. If you're married, it goes up to $1,242. But in addition to that, at 50%, you're going to get on the medical side, there will be no copays for your medical or prescriptions. That's a huge benefit for a lot of veterans. So once you get to, again, to 50%, your medical, no copays if you're using the VA medical system. And for any prescriptions, again, no copays. That is a huge benefit for the veterans. Then the next higher level is going to be at 70%. A 70% rating will give you $1,008 a month, single. Married, $1,961 a month. So you can see that's over $100 more for adding your spouse. And of course, if you have dependents, that just goes up from there. Each dependent is $100 or more, depending on how many dependents that you have. Critical on reaching the 70% level is at that point you're entitled to VA in-home care, where if you're wanting to stay and live at home and you need additional care for us older veterans, the VA will send folks from the hospital out to keep you in your home as long as you can. But sometimes you even need additional 24-hour care. And then you would also qualify at 70% and higher, or a service-connected disability, for what we call caregiver status. And that's where you can have your spouse, your children, even a neighbor. They would actually be paid separate from what you're getting from the VA and separate from any other income you have, up to over $3,000 a month currently for this year, 2026. And in addition to that, you get so bad that your wife can't take care of you anymore, or your children, in your home, and now it's time to go to a nursing home that is now 100% covered by the VA at 70% or higher, unless it's a direct service-connected disability, separate. And current nursing home costs are $10,000 to $15,000 a month. You still get your full VA check and whatever other income you have, but they pay for nursing home care for you. 5 levels of nursing home, 1 through 5. The VA has no nursing homes. They have VA-approved nursing homes. And they will only be approved if they are 3 or higher. 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. You don't want to be in 1 or 2. You want to be in 3 or higher. And that is now covered by the VA when you're at the 70% rating and above. In addition, now we get up to the 100%. Here's the big deal. If you're single, you're going to get $3,938 a month if you're single. Remember, this is all tax-free. So again, almost $4,000 a month, single, currently this year, if you're at 100% rating, all tax-free money. If you're married, it goes up to $4,158 currently. And of course, again, if you add dependents, it just goes up from there. In addition to that, at 100%, you even get more benefits. You get free dental. As an example, I'm a 100% disabled veteran myself. I get free dental from the VA, either at the hospital or outsourced. In my case, I go to a private dentist and the VA pays for it, 100%. Also, you get additional educational benefits for the veteran, for the veteran's spouse, and for the veteran's children. This is in addition to what you might have already earned for your years of service. For those veterans, most of us obviously in Daedalians, the majority of us are retired, so we get retired pay. But in addition to that, we have our ID card. Well, for those who separated, they now at 100% can get their military ID card back. That's another huge benefit. Also, regardless if you get any rating and you're a service-connected veteran, you want to go to the VA hospital, get your VA ID card. That also gives you PX and commissary privileges nowadays. So that's the reason why we're going to be going to the VA Form 526EZ, and I'm going to help you fill that out so you can get those benefits we just talked about. They're huge, they're your benefits, and let me help you. Okay, again, continuing here, we're now going to go on how to fill out the 21526EZ. As I said earlier, there are 8 pages of instruction there for you to read and let your eyes gloss over. But we're going to skip all that. I'm going to help you fill out this form. I'm going to make it easy for you. Let's go to page 3 of the instructions. That's where I start. Normally I do this at home over the phone with the veteran on the other side, and we're both looking at the same form. We're going to go page 3. We're going down to item number 4, which is in the middle of the page on page 3. And it, on that section, has a mail to Janesville, Wisconsin, and also an upload option that you can do if you're computer savvy. If you're not, like some of us older folks, we're used to that old fax machine. It still works for the VA. That number is 844-531-7818. Again, fax number 844-531-7818. Then we're going to skip from page 3. We're going to go right to filling out the form. The next page is going to be page 9, and I'm referencing it myself so that I can be clear about it with you. So up on top, starting with item number 1, you got a couple options. I always ask the folks that I'm helping to put down the FDC program. It's kind of an expedited process. You can also do the standard process. But what does FDC program mean? That means whatever is in your military medical records, the VA already has, and any records that they need for you to get your disabilities on which you're claiming, you will get to them. As an example, diagnoses for each of the items that you've claimed if they don't already have that. Below there, there's also an option for BDD claims. That's for folks that are still in the military, and that's the block you would check. So let's go back. It's going to be, for most of you up there, the FDC claim, and that's what we're going to do. Section 1 of the form, and again, we're on page 9. Most of this page is self-explanatory. You're going to put in your name, your address, phone number, email address, and making sure that you check the box down there within the section that says you will accept electronic information. Real important. Give them a good email, give them a good phone number. Of that section there, on down there to item number 8, that's there. It's talking about BDD claims. Again, that is only for folks who are still in the military. Actually, yeah, item number 8. Okay, so we're done with section 1. Again, it's pretty much self-explanatory. You don't put in anything in item number 8. That's unless you're still on active duty. Then we go down to the bottom of the page, and that's for change of address. Don't fill anything in there unless you have a change of address and you've previously applied to the VA. Most of the folks that are doing this have never applied, but if you have and you have a change of address, it's real important they have a current address on you. You could fill in that. So we're done with page 9, and we're going to go to page 10. Real important on all the pages, the very top of page 10, you want to fill in your Social Security number. And then down below there, it has homeless information. I'm pretty sure none of you here in Daedalians are homeless. So that section you would leave blank. That's for veterans who are out on the streets. So it doesn't really apply to you. Leave it blank. And then we go down to the next section, section 4, which is exposure information. And this one is real important. If you, as an example, are a Vietnam veteran, you want to check that block because you were exposed to what? Agent Orange. That's real important. And for all of us who also served in the Gulf War and afterwards, you want to put down the exposure that you were exposed to, such as burn pits. And then down below on the bottom, there's other exposures that you could be exposed to. As an example, a lot of the buildings throughout the country in the old days, there's asbestos. When I went in, we had asbestos in a lot of the buildings, whether it been in the hangar, could have also been in some of our barracks that we had, we were around asbestos. Radiation, if you're around radar, that kind of stuff. Also, if you're working around nuclear equipment, anything like that, if you're exposed to it, please list it on this form. Then we go down to the bottom of the page, and the bottom of the page is Section 5. Section 5 and the next page, which is page 11, I call that the money page. Show me the money. And just putting it out there for you, because that's what this is all about. It's to get you your benefits that you have earned over your service in the military. And so we're at the bottom of page 10. It gives you examples there as how to fill out page 11. And again, starting at the bottom of the page, you can see on there that it's talking about hearing loss. Most veterans have hearing loss and tinnitus, the ringing in the ears, the high shrill. Mine's going on right now because whenever I'm talking about it, there it is. It's the one disability I'd like to give up. And so it gives you an example of how to fill that out. And you go across there. Well, obviously hearing loss is due to noise. Most people who serve in the military are around noise, especially if you're in combat. And then of course over there you have the different columns, and then you want to put down there where that noise, or in this case, you would also put down tinnitus because they go hand in hand, the ringing in the ears, the high shrill comes and goes. And that's also due to noise. So on the form, you can put down where it started. Most people in the Army, we all went through live fire exercise in basic and further on at AIT, depending on your, obviously your MOS. But if, say, for example, you were in the infantry like I was. So again, on the top of the form, we're now on page 11. You want to put down your Social Security number on each page, or start to fill in your disabilities. So most veterans, I start with hearing. That's number one. Number two would be tinnitus. And most veterans, again, get over 90% of all veterans are approved for tinnitus. It's because it doesn't matter what branch you served in, we're around noise, lots of noise. And if you served in combat, you're almost automatically included. And on that, you're going to see an audiologist, hearing and tinnitus. That's one medical appointment. And if you get approved for tinnitus, that's 10%. Earlier I said that's $180. We move on to the next one. Now you're going to go to musculoskeletal. So you want to start listing on there all the things that are related to musculoskeletal, which is, as an example, I have a pain in my neck. I have lower back pain. I hurt my knee. I sprained my ankle. All those things that you did while you were in the service, you can list right here. We don't ask anybody to make anything up, but I do ask you to be aggressive. Please put down on this form anything and everything that you can think of. The VA is not going to approve you for anything you're not entitled to, but if you don't put it down on this form, you're not going to receive it. Now's the time to list everything. You know, if you don't put it down, you lose it right at the beginning. So we're filling out those items, and what I do when I'm helping folks is let's think about that. During that time you're in the service, were you ever in the hospital? Whatever it was, has it gotten worse over the years? You want to list that on this form. Did you ever go on sick call? Need to list all those items on this form. As we get older, they all show back up, I can guarantee you that. And put it down on this form. If it started in service and it's got worse over the years, you're entitled to compensation for that. That's why we're filling out this form. In addition, all combat veterans, as an example, you can put down PTSD, a traumatic event. So you were serving in Vietnam, as an example, and your base got attacked, folks were killed, our side, their side, civilians. That's a traumatic event, and that can affect how you feel down the road. And lots of times in the old days with the VA, when we first really didn't think we'd ever ask the VA for anything, when I first got out of the Army after 4 years of active duty in 1978, you went to the VA on the medical side, and it really wasn't there for us, not good at all. So give you an example, if you're in a car accident, if the accident didn't kill you, VA had a reputation if you went to the VA hospital, they would. So that's just an example. Nowadays, that's all changed. The hospital system is good. I can tell you it's good. I use it myself. And if they can't see you within 30 days, they refer you out to civilian doctors, and they pay the bill for us. So the program has changed dramatically from when I first joined the Army in 1974. Same thing on the compensation side. Vietnam veterans, when they came back, they applied for their compensation, and the VA would say no. You go back and ask again, what part of no don't you understand? Or hell no. That's all changed nowadays. Things have gotten better. They compensate veterans, Vietnam veterans, for PTSD. And it's a whole lot easier now for you to get your benefits. It's a user-friendly program, but you have to apply for your benefits. So since we're talking about PTSD, whether you're a Vietnam veteran, a Gulf War veteran, or even experienced a traumatic event separate from combat, I've helped plenty of women who were sexually assaulted while in the military. They can get PTSD for that as an example, but you have to list that down here on the form. Also, give you an example, if you have tinnitus, we talked about that earlier, there are secondary conditions for almost everything you put on the form, so you can look those up by going to Google and just put in, show me secondary conditions for tinnitus as an example, and they're going to pull up some of the examples are, if you have sleep apnea, that can be secondary to your tinnitus. Insomnia can be secondary. Headaches can be secondary, and you can list that on this form. So as we continue here, again, you want to list everything. You're going to be going in for a second appointment for anything musculoskeletal, and that's where if you put down lower back pain as an example, you go into the doctor and he's going to pull out his protractor and say, lean forward and show me how far you can go forward. Well, one, you need to know why you're going in for that appointment. Oh, it's audiology. Hearing? Oh, okay. I'm not doing my back today. So you need to know when you go in whether it's an audiology appointment or a general appointment for general things that you put down. So we're talking about your back. You want to make sure you show them your worst day, not your best day. That's what you get paid on. If it comes to anything to do with seeing a psychologist or psychiatrist, then in that portion there, you would be referred out to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And if you're a combat veteran, they can even determine same day while you're there that you have PTSD from your combat experience while serving in Iraq, Afghanistan, or even back in Vietnam. So if you don't get a diagnosis from the person that you're sent out from by the VA, you're going to need to get a diagnosis for anything and everything that you list on this form. And you can get that from your private doctor. If it's already diagnosed, that's fine. You just submit that paperwork. If it's not diagnosed, there's one of two ways of getting it. Go back to your private doctor, go to your specialist, and ask for a specific diagnosis. You get a copy of that, and then you mail that in. That's evidence, or you upload it, or you send it to that fax number that I gave to you. It's real important. So you got to work for your own benefits. Got it? Nothing's for free. You got to give them that information that they need to let you be successful in this process. So those are the three areas. You're going to be called in mainly for hearing and tinnitus. You're going to see an audiologist. You're going to see a general internist, as an example, for all the musculoskeletal. You're going to see a psychiatrist or psychologist there to determine anything to do with PTSD, and oh, by the way, some of the sleep issues or depression, anything like that is also included on that exam. That's a third exam. So those are the items we want to put down. The form is pretty self-explanatory. If it's an event, it is a injury that you injured while you were in the service. And then, of course, we need to talk briefly here about the presumptive list for Vietnam veterans. You need to Google the presumptive list for Agent Orange. If you have any of the items on there, I'll give you one big example. Say, for example, you currently have prostate cancer. You've never claimed it. If you have prostate cancer, it's an automatic 50% rating. So that's real important. List that down. You're going to get 50% right out the door as long as you've been diagnosed with prostate cancer. Now, if you've been treated for it, they took your prostate out or they gave you radiation treatment, and now they say, that you're basically cured, then you also have the residuals of prostate cancer as an example for all the older veterans. And you can get compensated for that. So it's a big deal. So again, on the bottom of the form, so we're done with what to put down on page 11. And at the bottom of there, if you've been applied before or not even applied for your comp and pen, but you've been going to the medical side of the house, because you can be enrolled in that a number of ways. On the medical side, you go in, and that's where most veterans start. They think that's where their benefits are, is at the hospital. So they go to the hospital and they ask to be enrolled, and the first thing they'll ask if you're a combat veteran. If you are, you're automatically enrolled on the medical side, regardless of what you get on the compensation side. But if you're not, then they're going to ask there for your financials. And a lot of veterans don't like to give their financial out, and you might not qualify. And a lot of veterans have been turned down because they make too much money, or you go to a higher level instead of level 1, which is being the highest at the VA. You're going to be at 8 or even higher than that. And that's on the medical side of the house. So put down at the bottom of the page any VA hospital or clinics where you've gone for treatment. At the bottom of the page too, that also shows some forms down there. I'm only going to highlight the one, which is the form for dependents. You see there at the bottom of the page, it says dependents. Well, this is the time where you want to go and fill out the form that's indicated there and add your spouse and add your dependents. And the form is self-explanatory on that one. It's not as hard as this one. So we're done with page 11. That's, remember, the money page. Please list everything there that you can think of on this page. So now we're going to go to page 12. Again, Social Security at the top of the page. And we want to put in your service information. Again, all of that is self-explanatory. You're going to put down when you went in on active duty and when you left active duty. Now, in this case, in the old days, you had to have 6 months of active duty in order to qualify for VA benefits. Nowadays, that's changed. All you need is a minimum of 30 days of active duty. And oh, by the way, if you went through basic and AIT and that's all you ever did, you qualify for VA benefits. So that's what you want to put down. Guard and reserve really doesn't count. Your 2 weeks in the summer, your weekend drills, those don't count for VA purposes unless you had a line of duty for an accident or an illness while you were in the Guard and Reserve on drill weekend or during summer camp, then that would count. But you would need a line of duty, or also if you can confirm that you were injured during that time, even after the fact, then you could probably still go ahead and claim it, and I would encourage you to do that. Once you're on active duty with the Guard and Reserve over 30 days, anything is fair game at that point. If you're injured, have an illness, anything like that, while you're in the Guard and Reserve, that's when you want to put that time down on this form. If you're in the IRR and really didn't do anything, you really don't need to list it. The most important thing is your active duty time, 30 days or more, or unless you had a line of duty while you were in the Guard and Reserve. Okay, down there, and now we're down to section 7, and this is your retired pay. You want to just list what you're getting. If you're retirees, most of us in Daedalians are retired from one branch or the other. We also have other members who served in the military that were flight crew members, and they also qualify. But they're not going to put down any of the retired pay because they don't receive any. So basically, let's see, we're done with page 12, and we're going to go on to page 13. Page 13 up on top, there we want to put any severance pay that you might have. I've had a few veterans that I've helped that got severance pay. One recently that I helped, he thought he wasn't entitled to the VA benefits because he was paid out as severance pay, and he's now very happy. He's now receiving VA benefits because he just didn't realize that he can still apply for these benefits even though he was paid a severance and separated when he separated from the military. And then, of course, the direct deposit information, that's real important. Unless you've already filed a claim and they already have the information, or unless you're changing that information, it's real important you put down where you want your money to go. And once you're approved for this process, it's automatically. Normally, if you got approved for 50% as an example, that money's probably going to be in your account before you're notified by the VA that you've been approved for 50%. You'll be looking at your account and say, where'd that money come from? That's how that system works. Okay, and then down at the bottom there, we want to have you sign it and date it. And this is at the bottom of page 13. Let's go ahead and sign that and date it. You don't need any witnesses. That's only in case that you obviously need help in filling out the form, and most likely you're having some serious medical issues at that point. So that kind of concludes today how to fill out the 21-526 EZ form. I hope this has helped you. And when you're doing this program, if you have the forms out in front of you, it makes it a whole lot easier. I'd like to thank you for listening to this presentation today. Again, I'm Chief Quick, Adjutant for Flight 18 out here in Denver, Colorado. Thank you.